Let's imagine a scenario. In this scenario, you're reading a book, sitting upon a bench in a park. You're undergoing the process of learning a new language, Spanish. As you begin to retain verbs, nouns, adjectives, and eventually conjugation, you begin to see, speak, and listen to your surroundings in a new way. These communications begin to form new understanding and act in greater accordance with the flux of new information, blazing new synaptic pathways and mental models that are based on the prior cognitive connections of your native language. Your linguistic compass bearing of increasingly effective cultural navigation begins to bear the fruit of your aims. ¿Dónde está el baño? Sacred geometry runs akin to this scenario, only instead of the language being cultural, it is your navigation within the matrix of reality. Each shape and geometric pattern is a word spoken in this language. Each has its own archetypal origins, meanings, and associations, woven together as the plants, animals, sky, and earth. An eternal, poetic epic of direct, seemingly impossible experience. In Spanish, or any other cultural language, we navigate amongst constructs through internalized symbolism, a fundamental aspect of the human experience. Amongst the present moment, we think about what we've done and what we're to do in literal, emotive, and symbolic fashions. This symbolism is vital code we rely on in the experience of life. Inextricably, symbols link the inner and outer world, the micro to the macro. Beyond the limitations of their physical representations, symbols contain deeper, often cognitively shrouded, esoteric truths. Symbolism is so prevalent and deeply embedded as an intrinsic and almost overlooked aspect of our living experience that it can go nearly unseen, like water to a fish. The most elementary of two-dimensional symbols are the line, circle, triangle, and square, all rich in meaning in their own right. These shapes are the first nouns, verbs, and adjectives of this language, the line and circle being the oldest. Every geometric shape has a function and contains energy. Every shape provides boundaries for the unbounded and frameworks for the deeply complex. These spatial boundaries and edges of elementary form act as aids in our perception of reality and the systems that underpin it. Whether witnessing the world through a secular experience or emotive and inspirational, these shapes and patterns represent ideas and distill the essence of reality through literal and formative geometrical symbolism. Soon enough, we'll be conjugating. The circle is one of two movements practiced by the geometer with compass, the other being the straight line via a ruler or straight edge. In the practice of these two movements, one invariably encounters unreasoned certainty of archetypal knowledge that pervades the ubiquitous, innumerable expressions of nature. This type of understanding differentiates itself from mundane, quantitative measurement, the practical side of geometry. For now, let's skip the line and go directly to the primordial shape that is the source of it all, the circle. Since ancient times of philosophers and mathematicians, the circle has been recognized as the source of all, including all subsequent numbers, and so shapes. This is why the circle is the first number, 0. It is empty void, space, hinting at both nothing and the latent potential prior to anything. It is both full and empty, complete and perfect, pure and absolute. The circle represents the unity of the monad. For the sake of elucidating this aspect of creation, let's briefly revisit the monad in its slightly fuller numerical context. But this time, instead of Greek, we'll visit Chinese antiquity. In ancient Taoist cosmology, the circle plays both 0 and 1, everything and nothing. The Tao, or the Tao, being the fundamental underlying principle that is the source and essence of everything in the universe. The order of primordial number stemming from the circle is expressed in verse 42 of the Tao Te Ching, a foundational text from the 6th century BCE. The Tao gives birth to the One gives birth to the Two gives birth to the Three gives birth to the 10,000 things. This system of describing the circle of life is represented through the yin-yang symbol, also of Chinese origin, a two-dimensional schematic of a 3+ dimensional energy system, the torus. This expression of monad, dyad, and triad, given their geometrical counterparts as expressed with the Tao Te Ching, have been applied to various philosophical and metaphysical frameworks to describe the cosmogony, or the way of creation, under different cultural lenses, relating to the unity, duality, and trinity of creation. The biblical Genesis, with its 6 days of creation plus 1 day of rest, runs parallel to the Genesis pattern, also called the germ or seed of life pattern, 6 circles around 1. This same geometry was even practiced by the ancient Egyptians, who greatly valued geometry, holding the Heliopolitan belief of the creation of the universe by the god Atum, while Ra, the god of the sun, is depicted as a sun disk or circle in their hieroglyphics. The Judaic Kabbalah, using the cosmogenic geometry of the Tree of Life pattern, is another tradition, depicting the circular framework between the divine and the creation of all through gateways, which they call the Sephirot, also underpinned by the Seed of Life pattern. The famous Aztec sunstone in Mesoamerica is another example of foundational geometry, describing cycles of time and creation through the circle. And lest we forget, the mysterious master timekeepers, the Maya, known for their celestial exactitudes using circular, sidereal calendars. The use of the circle is ubiquitous in the numerical cosmogony of cultures across Earth, because universally it is the first and primary form of creation and life within the world of form. We'll be going into the Seed of Life pattern within cultural creation contexts in greater depth during the course. In this shared reality of life, of individuation and differentiation, the circle is recognized through experience of both the second dimension and the third dimension as the sphere. Bubbles, cells, sand grains, grapes, craters, microscopic particulates, planetary bodies. The circle is ingrained in our experience, both on physical levels and societally cultural. Road signs, traffic lights, wheels. We circle up as groups. We have family circles. We circle important things on calendars and diaries. We circle back around to revisit things. We're subject to the circle of life, its experience being supported by the very same participants arriving at death, that new life may arise, both a circle and a cycle, a process that takes place throughout what we experience as time. Within a circle, as we've established as being the formal archetype of all life, is another symbol, the holon, a pattern of rings around a center. All beings throughout time are holonomic expressions within the original circle of life. The holon also contains the dynamics of time, the indivisible moment of the ever-present now that exists throughout all time. Every sequential circle moves around the center, just as every measure of a cycle in time, a second, an hour, a year, a millennium, an eon, all move around this moment. A single water drop falls into the center of a circular pool of water. Ripples are sent out as concentric circles from the still point of origination. This is you, a ripple in time, unfolding in the present moment, a holon of the monad.